morning, everyone. I'm just getting set up. My name is Kim. I am with the company Welp. This is my company. I started it a couple of years ago after I closed my furniture fabrication business so that I could train more people how to do upholstery, so that one day I could open my business back up again, maybe one day, or something similar. I just really enjoy making furniture. I wasn't prepared to close my business a couple of years ago. I wasn't ready to let go, so I kept on trucking, and since then I've taught more than 350 people how to do upholstery. 60% of them continue to come back to my classes. I teach my in-person workshops here at my local maker space 4 days a week on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. I also teach virtual workshops over Zoom, so you can join me with a virtual workshop too. The way my classes work is that you bring your own project at any stage with any level of experience to any class. There's no curriculum, so you can come in at any time you're ready to get started, and I walk you through the steps to completing it. That's one avenue to learn upholstery from me, either in-person workshops or virtual workshops. I also teach a weekend summer camp, which is a lot of fun. It's all inclusive. There's all that information about my classes in the bio, but if you do not have the money to pay for classes, I am here every Tuesday teaching live tutorials for free on whatever project I happen to be working on at the time. I figure if I'm working, I might as well be teaching, so that's what I do. I turn the camera on and I show you guys what it is that I do. I want you to learn sort of so almost every single upholsterer out there nowadays is self-taught because there's no trade for it anymore. There's no trade school for it. You can't go there. So everybody's techniques is unique. So when you come here to learn upholstery techniques, you're coming to learn from me. I myself am self-taught. I taught myself by deconstructing furniture, reverse engineering it, videotaping everything as I take it apart and watching those videos as I put it back together, and also watching video tutorials on YouTube and in forums. When I first started doing this over 12 years ago, there weren't a lot of tutorials on how to do this, but you could watch people doing it. So I did a lot of observational learning as well. But the best way to learn how to do it is sort of get your hands in it and get dirty and then start doing it yourself. This isn't something that you need a formal education to learn how to do, even to get started. You don't even need a lot of expensive tools, but it is something that you can do and make a little bit of extra money on the side if you go about it in the right way. So that's kind of what I'm trying to encourage more people to do. The upholstery industry has a severe lack of skilled tradespeople right now, and there are no trade schools for us to push you into to do this. So we just have to encourage you and inspire yourself to get into it on your own. There are a lot of people out there teaching upholstery. There are a lot of tutorials that you can watch for free. There are a lot of groups you can join for a subscription. Kim's Upholstery is a really great one. Chair Whimsy does one. I believe the Whimsical Chair teaches. Crown Upholstery teaches. A lot of really great upholsterers out there teaching how to do this, so you can literally learn it from anywhere. But I'm trying to make it as accessible as possible, and that's why I teach you here for free on Tuesdays. I also have a free group on Facebook called the Local Upholstery Club that you can join. As you're learning or teaching yourself, if you have questions, you can post them in that group, take some pictures, tag me in a post, and I'm happy to answer them for you for free. I'm not the only professional in that group. There are a ton of professionals in that group who've been doing this for decades, and they're all happy to help answer questions. And the best part is they're not allowed to give unsolicited advice. So it's a really respectful group, it's a really supportive group, it's a very empowering group, and it's somewhere that's a safe space to learn and to do the wrong things and to practice and get better as you go without judgment. So if you want to be a part of that group, the link for that is in my bio. If you want to sign up for classes, the link for those in my bio. Today I am going to teach you how to measure and cut custom cushions. We have a really easy one. We have this just rectangular one that we need to do, but then I need to cut a 10-inch polygon out of these two pieces of foam put together, and that looks like this shape right here. So it's a really long piece of foam. I have a couple of tools that I can use to do it. I have an electric bread knife and I have a bandsaw, and I'm going to show you both ways. The electric bread knife is a really good alternative if you don't have a bandsaw or any kind of power tool to do this. It's something that you can get very cheaply brand new, but you can also get it even cheaper if you go to thrift stores. Everybody buys one, but nobody uses them. So they all end up in thrift stores. Mine looks like this. This is 20 bucks. I have a few of these in my shop because I teach workshops, and so students need to use them all at one time. So this is what we're going to use to cut our foam for part of it, and then I'm going to show you how to use a bandsaw to do that too. But the first thing we got to do is dry fit the cushion that we did cut. Actually, we're not going to do that first. We're going to cut this cushion first, because I tried to dry fit that earlier and it was a nightmare. So the tools that I'm going to need to get this started is my T-square, which is a 48-inch yard, like a 48-inch ruler with a T at the top of it to help me keep my measurements square. I'm going to need my electric bread knife. I'm going to need some contact cement because this needs to be 10 inches thick and this is 2 5-inch thick pieces. And I'm also going to need a measuring tape because my ruler is not as long as I need this. So first, we're going to get all of our tools together and I'll start setting those up. So what I have to do this initial measurement before I glue anything is my Sharpie, my T-square, and I have a ruler that is long enough to go the length that I need. This is going to be over 60 inches, and the little tapes that I usually use are not quite 60 inches. Ideally, I would, oh, there's one. Ideally, I want to use a measuring tape because it is, it's got a lot more length and it's stiff, so it stays straight, which is essential to getting a straight cut. So I'm going to use this. If you have this, this is fine. If you have a piece of string, you can do a piece of string too, and that would make it a lot more accurate than stacking rulers next to each other. But use whatever measurement tools that you got. These are the ones we're using here today. So the first thing I'm going to do is measure the cushion that I already have cut the length for so that I know how long to cut these. This, by the way, was a project that was one of my sponsored student projects. The sponsored student program is a program in which a client can contact me and they can get an estimate for a student, for what the cost is for a student to work on an upholstery project for them, which is typically about 2/3 less than what you would get if you went to a professional in this area. So they come and they pay for the cost of classes and materials, and the students get to take the class for free. This is a mid-century sofa that we have been working on for quite some time. The difficulty with the sponsored student program is that it can only get work done when the students have time to come and work on it. And for this particular project, I selected one student who has been coming and working on it as she can, and then if mistakes are made, we got to go back and start over. So it's been a long process, but she's done some really beautiful work, and I can't wait to get all of this piece together so that you guys can see what it looks like. So first, I want to measure the length of this cushion. I want to keep my measurement as close to the edge as possible here because that's going to help me make sure my measurement stays square. I'm going to bring you guys a little bit closer so you can see what I'm doing here. Whenever I am measuring, when I have to cut the length of something, to keep it as square as possible, first, I like to leave my last measurement cut as square as I possibly can, so the next person coming through is getting a nice square edge to measure from. I like to make sure that my students do that as well, because we have a lot of people who work from these materials out of the shop. So when I am measuring the length of something, I'm going to measure down one side, and then I'm going to measure down the far side. Sometimes I have to measure down the middle too if my ruler won't reach all the way across. But then I use my T-square to connect the dots so that I can make sure that I have a nice long shape. Here, I just need to measure the length of this so that I can have the length of my cushion. But I want to make sure that my ruler isn't out and about this way, that it is following that edge exactly. Because if I come out at all this way when I come down to measure, that's a different measurement than if it were down here on the edge, exactly where it needs to be. So I have this clocked at 62.5 inches. So I have 2 pieces of 5-inch foam now that I need to cut at 62.5 inches. So let me get this out of the way. forms of cutting this foam today, just so you guys can see both. We're going to cut it to length with the electric bread knife, and then we're going to cut the angle on the bandsaw. We're going to show you how to tackle that in both ways, because not everybody's got these tools from home, so I want to make it as easy as you can. These particular pieces of foam have been bouncing around my storage unit for a little bit, but not to worry. We're going to be shaving most of this off. And then you can also, if you get too many dirty spots on your foam, because they do collect a lot of dirt, you can go with an air blower. Like if you have an air compressor, put a blower tool on it and it cleans it off. So first, I want these to be as close together as possible. They should be the same shape, the same length anyways. I want to make them flush on either end, and on one side, this front side is what's important for me before I start measuring. I want to make sure that the foam is laying completely flat, that it's not laying on top of something, because that can make your measurement change. So this is laying completely flat on the table. If you don't have tables that you can stack together this wide, like I do at my local makerspace, do this on the floor. Maybe lay out a blanket, because this stuff gets dirty really easy. So I have to mark this at 62.5. I'm going to do that on this side, and then I'm going to also do it on this side so that I can make sure that my measurement is square. And before I cut, I am actually going to make sure that my measurement is square. So I have to measure both of these also. Get this measuring tape as flush with the edge and as straight as I can, and mark this at 62.5 inches down here, and then this way. Now if this gets too far away from you, you're going to want to go as close to that edge as you can get to see it, because even if you see it at a different angle, it might not be the same exact measurement, so you want to make sure that you are seeing it properly. 62.5. And then I'm going to use my T-square, and this is the factory cut edge, so I'm pretty confident that that's a square edge, so I'm going to use that as my guide. And I'm going to just hold it up against that dot, and ideally these two measurements should line up. And I see this dot, it's a little bit further in than this dot. I'm going to go with the factory edge on this. I've got my T-square laying nice and flush on this edge. I don't know if you can see from there, but it was just slightly off, like the thickness of my marker off, and that could be because I was leaning over to see it. But this was the mark that I had on the other side. I am going to go with this mark, and then I'm going to measure to make sure that it is square before I cut it. And the way that I do that is I'm going to take a measurement from one corner up here diagonally all the way down to here, and then I'm going to measure the same in this direction, and if they're the same, then it means they're square. So, not with this. This isn't long enough. For this, you're going to need a long enough ruler. It also helps to have extra hands for this. It's not as easy to do when you're by yourself. And learning how to use glasses. 65 on the outside of that. Perfect. It's the same. So same dimensions from corner to corner tells me that this is square. And now this is ready to be cut right down that side. I don't want to cut through both of these at the same time, because these little knives can't really hold up to that thickness. So I'm going to do one at a time. This is a lot of upholsterers, when they're trying to make bigger pieces of foam, if they have scrap pieces of foam or cut-offs that they can use, they'll often glue them together. There's a special glue that you can use to fuse these together permanently so that they can be used as one big piece of foam. So that's what we're doing today, because this has to be 10 inches thick and each of these are 5 inches thick. I do got to take the sweater off because it's hot. Okay, so now I have to get an extension cord. Electric bread knives are not unlike what a foam cutter looks like, except their motor's not as strong, and they weigh about 300 pounds less. A foam cutting saw that you can move with your hands is actually quite heavy. But the difficulty with these is that they have such short cords, and they're not always easy to work with. I did hear from a student that they found one that is cordless, so if you can find these cordless, I highly suggest you get that. So I am going to use this knife. So now I have my mark. I'm going to use this electric bread knife to cut this foam all the way through. Couple things to note. One, this doesn't have a blade at the very end of it. It's rounded. It's not sharp. So I can go right down to the table and cut it through. When I had my shop, I used to have a padded table so that I could push down. It didn't make a lot of noise. Plus it went down all the way. This is a hard table. It's not going to damage the table, but it's going to leave a film connecting these that I have to tear through because it doesn't technically cut all the way through, but it does prevent it from damaging your table. So I'm going to use this blade to cut along this knife. So one thing, I have to make sure this is touching the table the whole time, which means it's going to be really loud. The other thing is I want to make sure that the blade is standing straight up the whole time. If I tilt the blade in any direction, it's going to bevel that cut and it's not going to be perfect. And this needs to be perfectly straight. So I need to do the best that I can. I just, as you might imagine, the trigger on this knife is not in the right spot for it to be cutting foam. It's not really easy to cut like this because you can't control the direction of the blade. For me, it's easier to cut like this and pull towards me because I can see and can control the force behind it. Do it in whatever way it feels comfortable to you, but if you come at it like this, you're going to cut it crooked. If you come at it like this, you're going to cut it crooked. You can lean it off the table and cut it. Let's maybe try that so it doesn't get so loud. Oh, no, we can't try that. So you can lean it off the table, but sometimes the weight of the cutoff is so heavy that it changes the shape of your foam, and you end up cutting it like on a bevel or in a weird curve. So we're going to keep it on the table. What I do have is two tables here that I can sort of spread out so that this table is bracing the weight. This is something that Lisa Ramsey reminds me of to do all the time because she thinks smarter than I do most time. So I'm going to start my cut holding my blade straight up. Make sure you guys can see. A little heavy on this side, but we can trim it down when we get to the bandsaw. It's a little, you can even see, this is why I like doing it on the table, I have more control. You can see where the blade variation, maybe you can't see it online. Let me try and get the profile. Where the bending of the blade can change the shape. But I cut this a little bit heavy because I was nervous that I would do that. And I'm going to use the bandsaw to clean this up. Oftentimes when I'm cutting foam, I will rough cut it and then use the bandsaw to clean it up. If you have a bandsaw, that's wonderful. If you don't have a bandsaw, you got to get really good at cutting this clean the first time. So now I have this other piece of foam that I can use this foam to draw the length on. Have to be the same. So I'm getting it lined up on the ends here. flush in the front. I'm gonna mark. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna measure it because this is all wonky. 62.5, if we remember correctly, on both sides. This one is not perfectly straight on this side, so I'm gonna be careful. Get our T-square out to square off that edge. And then my priority is this clean square edge and lining the T-square up with it using this first mark. It is just like the other one, just slightly off. But this one by about a 1/2 inch. But I'm going to trust this. And then I'm going to measure from corner to corner after I get all the shape cut. So now I can just cut through this. This time I'm going to leave it on the table because I did not like the result of that last one. Like I said, when you have it on the table like that, if it's not a padded table, it's hard. There'll still be a film, but it's easily torn. You can just rip it like that. And that cut is way cleaner than the first cut when I cut it through the crack of the table. This looks nice, 90-degree angle straight up and down. Very little waviness in it. Now it does get batting on the outside of it, so if any little bit of waviness is in there, it's quickly cut off. And because I enjoy that one so much better, I'm going to cut the other one, the sliver, off and show you how difficult that is. If you find yourself having to cut just a sliver like this off, it's actually pretty difficult to get a cut going again because it's so thin. Sometimes it's hard to get this to come through here in an even way, and even sometimes the foam gets cut further back, so the thickness isn't the same, and you have to stay focused on keeping your blade straight up and down, or it's going to mess with your eyes and you're going to make it worse. So let's see if we can't not make this worse. I'm starting off very, very slow at this edge so that I can catch and bite into some foam before I start pulling it towards me. Hey, you need it?
Directly on the table.
Oh, okay.
Slowly, they're not meant to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
work
yeah.
benches.
Okay,
Thank you.
yep.
Thank you, thank you.
All right. Back to this edge. All right, I've got this hanging off the edge just slightly because I was just asked to not do this on the table. So for this, I'm trying to ignore what is coming off of here and just trying to keep my eyes on keeping that blade straight as I come through. It's not going to catch all the edges because not all of them need to be cut. So hard. I'm not going to make it worse because it is not catching everything, and it goes just a little bit deeper here, so we'll just fix that on the bandsaw. That's much easier, much more accurate. Okay, so now I can put these two together, and I'm not going to glue them together right now because the bandsaw won't allow me to put 10 inches thick. The depth of the bandsaw, I think, maxes out at 7 inches, so we can only do these one at a time, but we have to measure that angle first. So let's take a look at our measurements. which actually don't have to be 10 inches. They have to be 9. So I wrote these out on the board for the student who's working on this project. But these measurements, and I wrote it on here, are with the seam allowance, which means that I've added a 1/2 inch to either side of the widths and lengths. So now I have to take those down 1 inch, 1/2 inch from each side to be the accurate measurements. So let's do that. So on this measurement, I have 5 inches across, 5 inches deep on the top, 10 inches deep on the bottom. But this has a seam allowance of a 1/2 inch on this side and a 1/2 inch on this side, so that's an inch total. I'm going to take this one down to 9 inches, and then this one gets taken down to 4 inches. And the same is true for this one. I am not going to do this measurement because it is going to make itself when I draw the line for 4 inches and draw the line for 9 inches. I connect those two dots, and that's going to make that measurement on its own. So this I don't even need to worry about. But this I need to make 1 inch smaller from 14 to 13 inches. So we have a 62.5 inch length. And then these are the dimensions that I have to cut. So we have 13 inches tall in the back. Let me show you what we're working with, what that looks like translated to these cushions. So on these cushions, I'm assuming this is the bottom, this is the length of the back. So we have to measure 13 inches up from here on both, on this end, on this end, on this end, and this end, so that they all get measured straight. Now, I don't need a measuring tape for this because it's too hard to hold, but I can take a small ruler, and I can use a much smaller ruler. It's not as heavy to hold in these. It's important that you use a ruler that's not too heavy to hold, because if you're struggling to hold the ruler up, then your measurement's going to be different. So I've got, I need 13 inches off of this end from the bottom to the top of this ruler here. I'm going to do the same thing on this further edge here. And then here as well, and then I can use my ruler to connect these dots. So now I have 13 inch length up this side. I also need a 9 inch width across the bottom. So this is 10 inches, that's going to make this an inch less. I'm going to just cut this, turn my ruler over, or measure this up to this 9 inch mark, but on this far side, because that's where my dot is gonna, that's the dot I have to make. On the top half, we had a 4 inch measurement. So at the 4 inch mark, I'm gonna go here. Now, I can take this line all the way down to this line, and that is my polygon. So that's the shape I need to cut, but I can't get all of this through the bandsaw. I also need to split this foam in half into 2 manageable sizes, because this, by myself, if I don't have a partner, is really difficult for me to run through the bandsaw because it's very heavy. So we're also going to cut these in half as well. So I'm going to measure that. 62.5 divided by 2 is 31.25. This particular ruler, one end starts at 1 inch and one end starts at 48 inches, just in case you need to use either end. So you have to be confident about which edge you're marking before you mark it. So 31.25 here. Ones do line up perfect, and just to make sure that that is the same measurement on both both sides. 31 1/4 on that side. So this one is got the mark to cut in half. We can cut that in half. And it has the marks for the angle across here. This angle is what we're going to cut on the bandsaw. But I'm also going to need to continue this line across the top if I want to cut it accurately. First, I'm going to cut it in half. And then we'll do the rest. I'm going to leave this foam underneath because I think that's going to help me cut it better. But I'm not going to go through the second piece of foam. Just the first one. I'm just going to pad the knife. No. It's too tall and too short. This is now would be a good time to mark where the top and the bottom of this is, because now we got to puzzle together to do that. Alright, cut this in half. Keep the blade straight. So now we got two halves, and we got to make the same measurements on this as we have on this. But I'm going to wait and put those two pieces together. So this one is cut in half. Now let's cut this one in half. It's hot in here today. I'm sweating. After I cut this one in half, I'm just going to go through and look at your guys' questions and answer them, and then I'll come back and show you the next step. So I need to put this puzzle back together. For the purposes of measuring. This one looks good. Now we have to measure the other one to look exactly like that. Let me get a paper towel from my face so that I can see. Oh my gosh, it's so hot. I'm going to start Rudy Giuliani right here on camera. I just dyed my hair yesterday. A little blue. Not too bad. Alright, I can't see without my glasses, so give me just a minute. I know I saw a comment way earlier, but I might be too far back. If you guys are just joining me and you're learning anything from me here today, the only thing I ask is that while you're here, tap on the screen when I remind you to do it. When you guys are tapping on the screen, you're sending my content out through the For You page, and that's how people find me, and that's how people learn how I teach upholstery workshops. I teach in-person upholstery workshops here at my local makerspace 4 days a week, on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Each class is 3 hours long, and each class is buy 3, get 1 free, and each class is bring a friend free. So you can do a whole 4-day weekend for $225 and split that cost with a friend and work on a project together. It's a really fun vacation type experience, and I have connections with the local Airbnbs around here, and I can get you a good discount on a room if you decide you want to come out here for the weekend. We have a lot of people who come out here from out of state because there's not a lot of people in the United States who teach upholstery. In this particular format, it's bring your own project format. So you bring your project to class, and I walk you through every step of the way. There's up to 8 people in class at one time. If they bring a friend, there can be up to 16 people, but up to 8 projects being worked on at one time. So when you come to class to learn on your project, you're not just learning on your project, you're learning on everybody else's too. So you might come to class to learn how to wrap a dining room seat, but you might walk away having learned how to tie springs and do deep button tufting as well. So it's a really fun experience. It's a really great community if you guys want to learn. I don't just teach in person, I teach live virtual workshops over Zoom as well. So if you sign up for my virtual workshops, you are also working with me directly on your project or walking you through every step of the way. Those are also buy 3 get 1 free. So they're a really great way to finish a project and to get some hands-on support if you need it, if you get stuck and you don't understand something. That's exactly what this format is meant to do. So let me get back to cutting this foam. So we've already plotted the measurements. On this one we need to do the same thing for the other piece. So I'm going to get those 2 pieces put together. Flush. And you can see the variation in measurement on this side. It's not perfectly straight. That's okay. So now, where's my ruler? Smaller ruler. So just like we did on the other one, we have 13 inches. The back of our cushion is 13 inches this way. So I'm just gonna use my ruler, mark off 13 on that edge. Here, both of these on this edge. This is how you measure a polygon. Now I can connect to these dots. Using this straight edge, and then the top part of my measurement is at 4 inches and the bottom part of it is at 9, so I don't need the whole 10-inch width, just 9. And now I can connect these dots so that the foam can get cut properly in that direction. So now I need to plot these measurements out on each individual piece of foam so that we know what to cut. So that's a little bit more complicated to describe. On the very same edge here, I need to cut that 13-inch length on both sides. Let's do it this way so you guys can see. Basically, I'm drawing dots to be able to connect when I start to push this through the bandsaw. So 13 inches is going to get me that line to this line. That's what we're working on. So I plotted it on that side, and now I need to connect these dots. So this 13-inch mark with the one that I just made. It lines up with that side perfectly. So this is a line that I'm going to follow on the bandsaw, but also after I cut this end off, I have to make this angle. So I need to measure from here to where this point is here and plot the same thing on that side and make so that I can follow that on the bandsaw. So this is 2 3/4 inches down, 2 3/4 inches down to that side. Now I'll take my T-square to connect those dots and flush up against this edge. Those should line up along that straight edge perfectly, and they do. That's how I know my measurement. So the first thing we're going to do is cut this off straight. The second thing we're going to do is adjust the plates on the bandsaw at an angle so that I can cut right down this line. I'm probably also going to have to draw that line on the top too so that I can see that as well. You guys can see this. let me explain that again. So first, we're gonna lap this off. And then we're gonna tilt the plate on the bandsaw so that we can cut this bevel. If you don't have a bandsaw to do that, you'll be able to plot this measurement out, which is, looks like about 1 inch down across the top, and you can keep your bread knife in line with that line as you go across, and that will cut that bevel for you. Remember, we're gluing these together. So this is how this has to work. I'm going to, what is this? Plot the same exact measurements on both sides so that I have a comparison. That's 4 inches. That way I can make sure everything stays straight along the way. Perfect. So this one's plotted. Now we're going to do the same thing with this one. This is the different angle. Uh-oh, I can't remember which is the bottom. Hold on, guys. We're going to mark these now. We'll put them together and we're going to mark them. So this is top and bottom. So we know what part we're getting rid of. So in this scenario, we're lapping off this whole entire thing. We don't need any of that. So the bottom line goes to here. So now I need to measure how far that goes up from the bottom of the cushion from the right side of the ruler. And I've got 10¼ inches. Now this measurement can be cut. Let me double check that squareness. Looks good. Is that it has to get cut on this bevel when it's on the bandsaw, and you can see that that actually stops right here on this side. So I'm going to measure up this end of the cushion to figure out what that depth is. Looks like 4 inches. That makes sense. 4 inches. Just never guess. Always measure. And then connect these dots. Because we're going to cut that part off the bottom when we get to that. So we have to plot these same measurements on this side, which is just that angle. So I have this dot, and what is that? This dot that I have to connect those dots along the side, so I know what angle to cut off. This is easier to mark up like this. If I had a deep enough saw, I would have glued these together and run them through all at once, but I don't. I'm very limited to my capabilities. So this line is going to be what helps guide me to cut the angle off of this. But I can cut this off completely at this line. I'm going to lop this whole top part off first. So that's that cushion. Now we've got these two plotted. Put them aside together. And then we'll plot the other ones. If you guys have any questions about anything that I'm doing, feel free to put them here in the comments. I have been getting anywhere from like 25,000 to 100,000 likes during these. When I get that many likes, it shoots my stuff out into the For You page. It helps people find me. I teach upholstery, so they get to learn upholstery from me, which is how I run my business. And if they learn upholstery from me, it's something they can pick up and they can do on the side from home. So when you guys are here liking and tapping and liking and violently tapping the screen until that little red heart shows up, and then it's like a meter. When it hits the end, it throws your big party. When you guys do that, it's giving my information to everybody who is relevant to this cause, and it's helping like single-handedly to grow the upholstery industry. So I've taught more than 350 people in the last 2 years how to do upholstery. 60% of them keep coming back. I've had dozens of people start their own businesses. I have dozens of people who are taking on clients on the side. This is something that you can learn fairly easily, fairly quickly. A lot of my students started with me just about a year ago, and now that they're taking on clients of their own, and I also help find clients for my students. So if this is something you're interested in doing, I even have people now joining my group to find students to do work for them. So this is a really good opportunity for you to learn. All right. Back to this. So first I'm going to transfer these measurements to the sides like we did last time, so that we can measure them down the side. This one should be 13. Yep. It's a little bit longer on that corner. I don't know if it's enough to worry about. I'm going to measure from this bottom part. 4. Measure twice. Cut once. Okay. That's good for measurement across. And then we also have this one across the top, which is 4 inches up. This is not the fun part. This is the mathy part. But it does help you to understand how to cut these angles when you need to cut a custom shape. You can have like this kind of thing ordered on the internet. And they are happy to cut it for you in that shape. My supplier does that custom cut, but I didn't have it done in time. 4.5 down that way. So this is the bottom of the cushion. Then we're going to cut that completely off from that line when you're measuring down 3 1/4. To here is our angle. And then this is the bottom. So that is like that on both sides. This is the that's not right. I don't think that is right either. Alright guys, we messed up those one already. Oh my gosh. Let me try this side. See, here's the problem. mark them. There we go. Puzzle. Now let's mark them. Back, front. Okay, so this one's done. Now we just have to measure. Look at how little bit we're gonna actually be keeping of this. Oh no, it's this one. Back, front. Confusing. That's the part we don't need. It's like surgery. Okay, so this one's done. Now we go to measure. You guys are confused already. Don't worry, so am I. It's a lot of mathing to do in a row, especially if you're ADHD like me. 13. We got down this side, this angle, 3 1/4, 3 1/4, this depth from here to here is 1 1/4. So measure the same on this side. 13 inches up. Measurements plotted. I think. What's this guy? Oh. Across the front. Alright, so that one I just didn't take all the way down so that I know it's going across the whole top. And I did the angle wrong. Backwards, because I flipped it. So the angle goes this way. So now, this is the cut I cut first. This is the cut that I cut slanted. That one is ready to go. So we should have all of them, guys. But I gotta tell you, I'm not confident in my skills right now. We'll see how it goes. So I'm gonna show you, we showed you already how to cut the foam with an electric bread knife, and now I'm gonna take it back to the wood shop of my local makerspace, and I'm gonna show you how to use a bandsaw. This, so I don't have my own shop yet. I'm working on it. But this is my local makerspace, MakerWorks, which is sort of like having a gym membership, but for tools. You can pay a monthly fee, and you can come here and use the tools whenever you feel like it. This is a space that I rent out to teach my classes, to do my lives, or even to just work on my projects. And they have a full wood shop, full metal shop, full everything. So I'm going to take you guys into the wood shop to cut these pieces using the bandsaw. We're going to take all of them. And this could get messy. So first, I'm going to take you out to the bandsaw, and then I have to come back and get the foam and put it on the bandsaw. So you guys will be looking at the bandsaw for a minute. Makerspaces are awesome. I started my business in one, and even now still use it all the time. Yeah, so when I closed my business, my shop, I had like our last shop was about 6,500 square feet. We closed it a little over 2 years ago because we couldn't sustain the demand by ourselves, and we couldn't keep up with the overhead by ourselves, and we just couldn't keep up with the demand on our own. And we couldn't hire anyone because no one knew how to do it. So we closed, and it was heartbreaking for me because I felt like I was being robbed of the one thing that I got really, really good at over the course of a decade. So after I closed my business, I decided to teach as many people how to do this as I possibly could so that maybe one day I could open up my shop again. So I started off teaching virtually from my backyard. I was already teaching this when I had my shop, but like dedicated to teaching, I started off in my backyard. Doing live over TikTok, and then when we moved, I found this makerspace right down the street from me. So we worked out. I got my membership there, and I started teaching a couple classes a week. Now I teach 4 classes a week: Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and I teach 2 virtual classes a week. And my classes are typically full. The virtual classes are starting to fill up now. We just started those a couple of months ago, but it has allowed me to grow my business in a meaningful way and slowly, and to train staff as I do it, which has been pretty incredible. So I am looking into getting into another space soon. We've been looking around town. What I'm trying to do is open up what's kind of like a tattoo shop, but for furniture. So you can come in and you can pick a piece off the wall, pick your material, pick your artist, and have them make it for you there while you wait. Like if you could sit around 3 or 4 hours or 2 or 3 hours to get a tattoo, that I feel like people would really enjoy sitting around 2 or 3 hours to watch a piece of furniture be made for them. And we're also trying to keep the prices as accessible as possible. So we'll have things that you can get done for like $25 on up, so that you can just come and have that experience. You can bring your own piece from home and have it customized, and also be teaching my workshops from there too. So that's the goal. That's what a makerspace has allowed me to do, which is really, really cool. I have a 2,400 square foot building for my business, but heavily support the makerspace because it's an awesome resource. It's an incredible resource. It's absolutely incredible resource for anybody who has one in their area, because it's free. It's not free access, it's access to tools. I pay about $210 a month for access to this makerspace, and it's the highest tier membership you can get. It's keys to the shop, so I can come 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and work out of here, and then I have specific days that I can reserve to teach my classes. It's incredible to have an overhead of $200 for the course of 2 years. It does really help your business grow. And I'm not even sure when we were in a 6,400 square foot shop, or even when we were in an 11,000 square foot shop, that we needed all of that space, because I can do the same stuff from this space that I was doing from my shop. Granted, I'm sharing these tools with a lot of other people, but I don't use all these tools at the same time. Not to mention, they also have CNC routers, CNC plasma cutters, all of the tools, mills, lathes, everything that we didn't have in our shop. I did my first upholstery project last summer and made the coolest little bench cushion. I would love to see it, Madeline. Hello, Rachel Elizabeth. Welcome. What do we got? Where will the shop be? I'm not sure yet. We're looking around. Probably in this area. So I teach in Ann Arbor, Michigan. So it'll be somewhere in this local area. We've made quite a home out this way. Ours is nonprofit, and we have been lucky to be able to keep memberships low at $35. Ours is nonprofit too. We have a variety of different types of memberships that you can get. You can get an annual membership, which is going to save you the most. It's almost half off like a regular monthly membership. There's student discounts, there's veteran discounts. You can buy a day pass. I think the day pass is $45, or you can buy credits where you can come and work on them like as you go, and then like re-up your credits. Or you can get monthly or annual. I'm in Toledo. I totally want to come see you. Toledo's not even that far away. We get people from Ohio here like almost every single weekend, so you should definitely come and see me. Do you guys apply for grants? This makerspace does apply for it. They get several different types of grants. They also have this program called the Great Maker Race, where they made this really cool track using the CNC, and kids get to carve out their own little derby cars and race them and like beat their times. So they travel with that as well, and they get grants for that, and that helps make them money as well. I also help with the programming around here, so we do a lot of like craft nights and teaching you how to use the tools without having to take like formal stuff. We're trying to grow makers, is what we're trying to do. A makerspace business model isn't like understood by a lot of people. People usually understand when I say it's like a gym membership, but for tools, people tend to get it that way. But the way that they're described is sometimes confusing for people. Like, you don't have to know how to use tools to join a makerspace. They will teach you how to use tools. They have classes that'll teach you how to do that. They have people there who will teach you how to run the tools. If you took the class, learned how to do it, but are nervous and you still are like nervous to approach it, they have people who will help you with that too. At this particular makerspace, they have standard operating procedure books around every single tool, which is like a picture, step-by-step guide on how to use the tool. So they really do a lot to help you build confidence around this space. I think we're fully funded by grants for the next 3 years. I'm going to be running for the board this year. That's incredible. I would love to hear how you do that, because I don't think that is the case here. I think we're I'm not sure what the runway is here, but it comes close usually. When I first started working out of here, they were within 2 or 3 months of closing, and I helped with marketing to help raise money and awareness of what it is. They've been here for 12 years, and a lot of people in the area never even heard of them before, because where they're great at connecting people with tools and teaching them and doing all of that, the social media marketing aspect was something that they had not even dabbled in. So that was something that I helped them with. I want to come on a weekend. I'm in Texas. Virginia, you should definitely come for the weekend. We get people from Texas here all the time, too. The reason why I have people travel here so often from out of state is because there's nobody else doing this. There's few handful of people who are teaching upholstery workshops. I teach hands-on workshops that are not curriculum-based. They're bring your own project-based. So you can come start at any time. You don't have to sign up at the beginning of a program and work it all the way through the end. You can come in at your own pace, as you please, come and go as you like. And I just happen to teach all my classes on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday to make it easy for you to come out here for the weekend. I also have a weekend upholstery retreat, which is a little bit more expensive, a lot bit more expensive, literally 10 times more expensive than coming to see me on a regular weekend for 4 classes. But it's 5 nights, or 5 days, 4 nights stay at a local bed and breakfast called the Newton of Ypsilanti, which is a historical mansion in Ypsilanti, Michigan here, which has a beautiful downtown area and a lot of great creative small businesses and great culture out here. We do the 5-day, 4-night stay there. We do fabric field trips to my favorite place, a discount fabric outlet. We've got 4 special guest speakers. We have Crown Upholstery will be speaking, the Whimsical Chair will be speaking, Vintique Upholstery will be speaking, and Nicole Crowder will be speaking to our guests. We always get industry guest speakers to help talk about what it is that they're dealing with in the industry. And our speakers this time come from all over the United States and abroad. We have Vintique Upholstery is Sharon O'Connor. She's in the UK. She has her own shop out there that she was formally educated for upholstery, because they have universities out there that still teach this trade, and she runs her own shop. But she's also one of the upholsterers for the show Money for Nothing on the BBC, which is really exciting. So that's a fun experience to hear about. When is your next available time? All my classes are Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So you can go to my website from the link in my bio, and you can click on in-person upholstery classes or weekend upholstery classes, whatever you see in that meets your fancy. And you can see my schedule. Right now it's up through June, but it will be posted up through July or through August soon. So you can go see what's available there. I did have someone confused the other day when they clicked. They only saw one date. You have to click on that date, and all of the dates available will pop down. If you schedule all 4 of your classes at once, you'll get 1 free. So it's buy 3, get 1 free. And each class is $75, so you can get that 4-day weekend for $225. It's also bring a friend free, so you can bring a friend, split the cost, $125. I can get you a good deal on Airbnb out this way at the Newton of Ypsilanti, so you can still stay in the mansion without the whole to-do of everything and still get a really great experience. So if that's something you want to do, go ahead and sign up for the classes online, and then I can help you out get into that Airbnb. We get a lot of people out here every weekend for that. You guys aren't that far from us. It's 6 hours north. We are in Berea, Kentucky. Yeah, so Martin, one of the things that I wanted to do this year was actually go on tour to other local, not local to me, but other maker spaces to bring this weekend camp opportunity to other maker spaces. I have a link in my bio for weekend camps. If you go there, it shows my program for if you wanted to bring me out there to teach classes in your space. If you're interested in bringing me out there to do a weekend camp there, my camps typically sell out every single weekend upholstery retreat that I've had, except for one completely sold out, and that one sold out more than half. So it's it's been a really great experience for everyone. I'm trying to make it as accessible as possible. So if I come to other local maker spaces who are willing to work with me on my marketing program and all the kit that I have to go with that, then I come out there. If you are someone who desperately wants me to come and see you and teach classes in your area, contact your local maker space and point them in my direction. If you connect me and I end up coming out there, you can attend the camp for free. Them's the rules. That's what the incentive I'm trying to get going. So I would love, love, love to come out there and teach you in Texas. Oh, it's gonna make me prove I'm a human. We have a traditional craft workshop that is funded by a college here. I'm not sure what you charge, but it may be fully paid for under that workshop plan. Go take a look in my bio at the weekend camps. There's a lot of documentation for makerspaces who are interested in bringing me there, including the pricing options. So you can download the PDFs for that, or you can email me. That's in my bio too, at lolcostudio@gmail.com, and I can go back and forth with you, and we can try and set something up there. I would definitely love to visit Kentucky. I have family out there. I would love to come to Texas. It seems nice and warm out that way. If you guys are here and you're learning anything from me today, if you could just tap on the screen as violently as possible while you're here. When you do that, it sends all my content out through the For You page, and that's how people find me. That's how people realize I teach upholstery workshops, and that's what they come here to learn. So you can just tap, 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 tap on the screen whenever I remind you, and there'll be a little pink heart that shows up here in the upper left-hand corner, and it races all the way to the end. When it gets to the end, it throws you a big party, and that's fun for everybody. So, okay, let's take this business to the wood shop. First, I'm going to get you guys situated there. So let me turn this camera around so I can sort of tour you around everywhere. So this is the conference room in my local makerspace, and this is sort of an all-purpose classroom. I do have a lot of my things moved into the corner here because I teach my classes here so many days a week, but you can use the space for anything if you come here. I'm just gonna come this way, and we're just gonna head into the wood shop, and before we do that, we'll say hi to Amy. Hi, and then we gotta get some goggles on to protect our face. Thanks, Amy. So this is the wood shop at our local maker space. We got every saw you could possibly need. Miter saw. We have a saw stop table saw, which will prevent you from cutting your hands off. Panel saws. We have different stations you can work on your project at. My favorite toy is the CNC router, and it looks like someone's about to use that. We are headed over here to use the bandsaw. So I'm going to sit you guys with the bandsaw for a moment while I go back and get that phone. What do we got here? Alright, I'll be right back. So I can see you salute. Hey, Allie. So the first thing I want to do is adjust the height of the bandsaw so that I can run my project through it. And my phone is 5 inches thick, so I'm going to need this at the max height. It does get awfully loud here, so this may be more of a visual presentation. The first thing I want to do is cut it to the length or the depth. I want to do is adjust the plate to this angle. The plate on this particular bandsaw is adjusted to the knot under here.
I don't know if this is it. Oh, it looks like it is.
It's just my hands are kind of stronger. I have carpal tunnel and I can't turn it. Is it like a wrench or something?
I can't. I got this back one, but
Yeah, I can't. Yay, hang on. We did it. This is yours. You don't need that. So loosening these two knobs allows me to tilt the plate in this direction. Whatever direction I need it tilted. Once I can get that line the same angle, I don't know if I can even put this through, you guys. I think that it's too tall. This one over here. Too tall for the bandsaw. The idea is if you can get it at the same angle, you can slice it here and too tall. So we can't do that. So we put this back where it goes. We're going to have to attempt to cut this with the knife. Yeah. Alright. Back to the drawing board. At least we got the length cut. Get you guys in here. Oh, let's try this. So now we have to do this the manual way with an electric bread knife. So the only part that I didn't mark on this one is the top line guide, which I have to follow with my knife. So let's get that marked. This is the part that makes me nervous, but I know we can do it. So if you think you get nervous as a first timer, I've been doing this for 10 years, 12 years, and I still get very nervous. But I'm gonna mess it up. Okay, so this is the cushion where we have this little angle here that we have to cut on. So I've plotted these measurements on the top and the bottom here. And now if I can be very steady, I can keep my blade with those guides and it'll cut it very cleanly. If I am unsuccessful in that effort, it will look like craziness. And then we'll just order it from Actifilm. But the goal is to try and teach you guys how you can do this with tools you have at home. So that's the plan. So here's how we do it. I have this line at the top and this line on the side to be my guides. I'm going to keep my blade to the top of that line and to the inside of this line and cut all the way across. My eyes just have to make sure that the blade is coming out on the line on both sides the whole time. Oh, my real glasses. Hold on. Can't see. See in high def. Alright, so keeping my blade on this line and this line at the same time. Here we go. Not too shabby. So far, so good. Alright, we did it. Now we have a pretty clean angle on that. You can see some like little waves in it, and you can see that that is when I adjust the weight and the balance on my feet when I like stop and go and stop and go and stop and go. If you can get it in one clean motion, it's going to be much better. So this one is done. Let's do the other easy one. This one also needs to be marked on the top because now we're cutting it ourselves. So we have our two guidelines. This is also really good if you want to cut like a rounded edge. You can do this in kind of several stages, like just chipping off little corners at a time. I'm going to get more above this so you can see it differently. Now we're going from this end all the way to this end, lining the knife up straight with the top and bottom lines. Perfect. Now if we did it right, it should look the same as this one. And it is a little bit. There's a little bit of a variance that we're gonna have to fix. So I'm gonna mark that here. Just a little tip of that, and I hope we can fix easily. So the problem is this is just going to be a little tiny bit of foam, but I have this angle to use as a guide. So I'm still lining up with this line down here, but I'm lining it up with that line on top. And I can set my knife right flat on the angle without doing this. It's just going to be a minute for me. It's going to take a second for me to chew into that little sliver. With my knife flat down on this edge, it's keeping the angle pretty straight. Better. Okay, these are the same. Hooray! Now we gotta do the harder one. But I'm nervous that the blade isn't long enough for this problem. It's definitely not long enough. So, I'm gonna have to cut this in half a second time. Oh, this is the part that we need to cut. Yeah, this is still too long for this blade. So, I'm going to take this back to the bandsaw and cut this length off on both of them. I already do that on one. There's really just no, safe way to try and cut cut away at doing this because my blade doesn't reach all the way to the other side. So if I cut this way and then cut this way, chances are somewhere in the middle here, my knife is not going to be in the same direction. So it's actually safer for me to cut this in half long ways and glue it back together later, and then use those guides to cut along that line, because my knife is enough to cut through half of this at a time, but not through the whole thing. So this one still has to get cut to length, so we're going to go do that. And I'll answer any questions here. What do we got? It's only 11:30. I don't see any questions. If you guys have any questions at all, feel free to put them in the comments. It's getting hot in here and my hair is looking insane. But I've got to cut this foam a little bit shorter before we... Oh, and I got to cut them both in half. I also, before I cut them, I want to mark them. So they both have the same marks on the same side. Let's go cut them down. We're going to use the bandsaw to cut it in half, but we can't use it to cut on an angle because it's not tall enough for the thickness of the foam. It might be after we cut it in half though. Small enough to cut on the bandsaw. Now we can fit the height right here. And we can adjust our table so that the bandsaw is at the same length. these two pieces are still too long to cut on the bandsaw, so I still have to use the bread knife to cut them. Ooh, let's put these puzzle pieces in there, shall we? That one is scrap. This front. It's also says front. So now we have these two pieces that still need to be cut. And that needs to be marked on this side with the guideline. Our guideline is going to be from this corner to this corner, so we're really going to be cutting it along like this. So we just need to know where this line comes at the bottom. Let's see if you guys have any questions real quick. There we go. 2 inches. So the height of the bandsaw maxes out at 5 inches. And this is exactly 5 inches in one direction, but bigger than 5 inches, and you have to use like 6. So now I am using this top line as a guide and this bottom line as a guide to cut that level. Which is even harder because this is the corner. So, let me get it down lower so you can see the starting point. So this is the angle we're trying to recreate. If I keep my blade with this line, this very corner, and with this line, should be okay. Trouble is keeping it at the same angle with the very tip of that corner. Now I'm getting enough track on top. Some of you may made it look like I was cutting right into my hand, but these actually aren't very sharp. They just vibrate up against your hand. It got real loosey-goosey here at the end. I'm not happy with that, but the batting is going to hold that together. Not super concerned about it. It's not fun. Oh, I think that's the wrong half. Who knows what pieces we're supposed to keep on this. Alright, Okie dokie. One more try. So I'm definitely going to have these cut because I don't like the way that was turning. We will put one of these together so we can stuff it in the cushions, but I do not like the way that that looked on that one. So let's assemble one whole one and see how we're doing. So this should be not 100% sure. These got cut in half, if I remember anyway. Yeah, he's undone it. I don't even know. I give up today. Should have taken a picture. That's how this is supposed to go. Oh my God. Let's do the big cushion. This doesn't make sense. I think that this is how this is supposed to go, but we cut it wrong. Super wrong. So we have to have a custom cut. So trust nothing you saw here today. Ugh. Anyways, polygons are hard, you guys. Okay, I do have the seat cushion already cut. We just have a couple things to do first. What a day. Typically I like to dry fit my cushions before I put them in, but this particular size is really big, so it's really hard to kind of stuff. Send the fluff cut on the belt sander. Yeah, you can sand off the rough edges too. So too many projects regretting not taking reference pictures too. Son of a bitch. Well, we didn't learn that today, but those were still good suggestions on how to cut those angles. So you can still use that. You're just gonna be better at marking your stuff than me. I knew as soon as I cut those ones in half that I was in trouble. Okay, so normally I like to dry fit these cushions, which means put just the foam inside the cushion cover to make it sure it fits before you put the batting on it. But this is a really long cushion going into one box cushion, and it's particularly difficult when it doesn't have batting on it because it sticks to the fabric, and so it makes it really difficult to fit into it. So we are going to cover it in batting before we fit it to it. This is the cushion. We need batting on the top, bottom, and all four sides of that cushion. So that's what I'm going to get the batting out for now. And this is an easy one where you can just roll it. If you have enough batting, you can roll it from end to end so it's one continuous piece of batting. My batting comes in a roll that's bigger than me, as you can see here on the floor. So that's something that I can do. If you can't do that, you can cut the size for the top of your cushion, cut the size for the bottom, and then cut the panels for your sides, and it'll look much better. Alright, so I am going to stretch this out first so that I have enough batting to cover the top, and then we're going to glue the batting to the top of the cushion. So, it's enough for the top. I'm going to keep it over to the sides because I can use this side part for the side panels that have to go around, but I am going to trim this flush with both edges on top before I put my side panels on. I want to try and conserve as much material as possible, so I'm going to glue this to the top, and then I'm going to flip it while it's still connected to the roll, bring it back towards me, and make sure that it wraps all the way around the bottom, all the way to this other side. Okay. Okay, so I use contact cement to glue these on. And contact cement, you can get it at Home Depot. This is specifically for foam adhesion, so you can adhere two pieces of foam together permanently. This I carry on my website. It's over the top for what I need, but it's the only thing I have here. But you can get any contact adhesive spray from like Home Depot or Joann Fabrics for the purposes of gluing batting to foam, because it just needs to sort of grip it. Where do you custom cut? So I get all of my upholstery materials and supplies from Active Foam, and I also have a third-party shipping deal with them to carry on my website, so you can get my discount on my website plus free shipping when you order from me from there. So I'm going to, first thing you have to know is contact adhesive only sticks to itself, so you have to spray both sides. You have to spray the foam and you have to spray the batting. And this is long, so I gotta kind of unwrap it. First, we're going to spray the foam. It doesn't need to be full coverage. We just need it to hold the batting pretty still. What I will say is that once it comes into contact with itself, it's stuck. So, be careful as you work. This just sort of comes out like Spider-Man's web, so you can see it and you can control it. There's not a lot of overspray. I'm trying to do as close to the size of foam as possible so I don't have to ruin a pair of scissors, but I do have special scissors that I cut this glued up stuff with. As I stretch it across, because I can't see, I'm short, I'm just stretching it also. Oh, and I did not go the length and then get it. So, let's see if it's too late to pull this off. Down here it's pretty sticky. I'm going to get it a little bit longer. Bring it up here more. I got lucky that it came off, because sometimes when you're not so lucky. Okay, so now flip this in this direction. I have a very big roll so that it can come this way. Now before, this is picking up a little dirt off the ground. Before I start gluing it down, I'm going to cut it off the roll so I don't have to wrestle with it. And because I'm using glue, I'm going to cut this off with a pair of crappy scissors. Back to glue it. I'm going to do the bottom half first. Move up towards the top. I'm also going to get the end because I want this to come around full circle. So now I'm going to take the scissors and I'm going to trim it right up to the edge along all of the sides of the foam so that I can put the batting on the sides. And I just do that by coming right in to the very edge of the foam, and I'm just putting my scissors right up against it so that it cuts it nice and flush. This is all going to be extra. I'm going to just work the sides. And then we'll save some for students who often use a scrap here on their projects. Bottom side, and sometimes that's easier for me to do it and then move it off the edge. On the side. Be very excited to get this project out the door because we've been holding on to it for a while. It was a sponsored project, which meant a student got to work on the project and take free classes, and the client paid for the cost of classes and materials to have it done. So the student gets a free education, and the client paid only about a third of the price is what you would typically pay if you were getting professional upholstery services. And it took us a while to get it done, but now we just have to get the cushions stuffed. We're ready to go. And the last part is the end here. So the batting layer is what puts a layer of air between your fabric and your foam. Otherwise, it looks like super flat and static, but when you put batting in it, it makes it look poofy and voluptuous. That's the technical term. This could use a little glue. I don't want it to come off when I'm stuffing the cushion. You may even choose to wrap this background batting layer in your cushion with a ticking fabric or some sort of linen material before you put it in your cushion, because then you can prevent the zipper from getting caught in this. We do not have the funding to do all of that, so we are just putting it in the cushion, standard what you would see. But if you wanted it to last a little bit longer, you could wrap this cushion in another cushion cover before you put it in your real cushion. I like to make sure all four sides have batting on it so that all four sides look nice and plush when you stuff the cushion. I also, when I measure to create my box cushion, I don't consider the batting. I only consider the foam. So the batting fills it out. I could use this cutoff that I just had to glue this to the side piece. Get this all covered. If you do happen to get glue on anything, you can always remove it with a little bit of oil or acetone, depending on what you're removing it from. So I'm going to line it up with this top part so I don't have to cut this side, just with the top of the batting itself. It's nice and flush. This is when you start to get it all stuck to your hands. And I'm just going to use the bottom of this piece to do the other side. Flip it to cut. And then we'll be ready to stuff it. Later today, I'll take this back to the storage unit and put it on the bench so you can see what it looks like so far, and we will await for Actifoam to send our custom cut foam wedge cushion. Hopefully we'll be delivered here by Friday, and then you guys will be able to see the whole thing later. Okay. Last side. And I was out of glue, so I need to get another kit. contact adhesive only sticks to itself, so you have to spray it to both sides of what you're sticking. So lining it up at the top of the batting on this side, for this part out. And you can even squeeze these sides together so they stick to the top. This is a little long on this side. You want to cut off any bulk because you might be able to see it inside your cushion. Once we trim this to the top, we'll be able to start stuffing it. Okay, I love this. Just checked out the class information. I believe it's totally worth every penny. It absolutely is. We do a lot of fun stuff in the 3-hour classes. But you're not just learning from your project, you're learning from everybody else's too. So you might come in to learn how to wrap a dining room seat, and you might leave knowing how to tie springs and to do debutton tufting as well. Some furniture companies advertise easy cleaning type fabrics for pet houses. Are those available to upholsterers? Yeah, so treated fabrics are available to upholsterers. There's fabrics that are treated for stains that are probably good for pets. That'll allow, if you like dump something wet on them, it'll just repel it completely. Krypton fabric has fabrics like that, but you want to look for like treated fabrics, or performance fabrics is another way to look that up. Joann's has some stuff in the outdoor section, but not really a lot. Sunbrella has a lot of really good stuff. Krypton fabric is another good one. Michigan has a fabric manufacturer called C.F. Stinson, and they make a whole line of performance products that have stain resistors on them, and it's eco-friendly stain resistor products, and they design their own fabrics. So they're in the United States, which is fun. I love this. I just checked out the first class information. I believe it's totally worth every penny. Thanks. I think I read that one already. If you guys are here and you're learning anything, I'm only at 5.5 thousand likes today. We still got 2 hours to go, and I need to get that over 25,000 likes for this to make a blip on anybody's radar. And I've only got 17% on my phone left too, so we probably won't be here the whole time. We're gonna stuff this cushion, and then we're gonna get out of here, and I'm gonna go home and cry because my cutting didn't work out today. But that's okay. We learned a lot, and we learned that cutting custom shape foam and like really large pieces can be really difficult if you don't have the right tools, and that they can be custom cut by other companies, and that's how we're going to have that done. So now I'm ready to stuff this. Do the cushion cover. This is a fabric that I got from Discount Fabric Outlet that I think is true to the vintage look of the mid-century piece. And it's a reversible cushion, so on one side is blue velvet, on the other side is this cutie little sweater looking material. The client wanted fun, bright colors, wasn't too picky, but we also wanted to keep it to the mid-century style. So this was our solution. So this is actually sewn so that the back of this is all open in one zipper, and it's goes around the sides of the cushion just a little bit to make it wide enough to stuff this through. But this is a tight squeeze, I will say that. So I'm just going to stretch this over. And I forgot if the hands stitch the zipper at the bottom here where the tooth came out so it doesn't come undone again. Oh, I'll do that I'm stuffing one corner first. These big cushions can be difficult, but once you got batting on them, it helps them to slip on. So I kind of want to shimmy this on fairly evenly. If I do one side all the way, the other side's going to be more difficult to get on straight. So to keep it straight, I'm just shimmying it on, and I'm keeping the box width in the same place. So I've got the same thing over here. We're just going to keep shimmying until we get it all the way on. Very good. And the other thing I'll say before you zip up your cushion for good is that you're going to want to go in and make sure the seam is pointing down. What I mean by that is when you open this up, this where all of these are sewn together is your seam here. This needs to go down along the side of your cushion everywhere, or else you'll be able to see that variation. Now in some of these big cushions, it's hard to reach your whole hand in there, but if you can reach, then you're just pushing it in from the side. If you can't reach, you can pull it down and push it like this. And that's what I'm going to do, is that method, because my arms are short. So, once I get all this in place, I want to go and make sure all my lines are lined up, that it's not on crooked. And then I can adjust my seams after it's zipped closed, because that's going to be easiest for me. So in the first attempt of getting this cushion stuffed to dry fit, tooth broke off the zipper. So I have to hand stitch the end of this to get it to stay on, so that it doesn't go beyond that point. Way easier to do with 4 hands, but it can be done with 2, I promise. This looks so good. Okay, so now I can go around, adjust if it is skewed in any way, which it looks like it's coming back towards the back more, bringing it up in the front. We're also looking to make sure that this line across looks straight. Let's see if we can see this from afar. Like it looks maybe. Okay, so now to get the seams going in the right direction, I'm just sort of, I can feel the seam and I'm pulling it out so that it'll rest along the side. I'm going to do that everywhere. So that's pretty good. This side's good, and I need to do that for both sides. The velvet side and this other side. So this is looking nice. What I will say is that the corners down here where the velvet is look a little empty. So I will go back through and put like a little wad of batting into all four of these corners to fill this out so that you can't see it. I might even put a whole layer on both sides, because it does feel like it's fitted nice, but there's still some loose movement in the cushion, and that's only going to get looser over time, and I don't want that to get loose. This is a student-made cushion, so it's not 100% perfect. She worked very hard on this, but it looks great, like it looks amazing. So I think it just needs one more layer of batting on each side, not along the sides, but just on the top and bottom, and then it'll be ready to go. Whew. What do we got? All right, so that's going to be it for today, because that's all the energy I have, and it's 400 degrees in here today. So I will be posting this later on this evening, the whole uncut live replay on YouTube, so you can go through and watch it. If you didn't see the whole thing, you can start from the beginning. We did mess up a bunch of foam today, but that's okay. We're going to have that fixed by ordering it right from the vendor, and we learned a lot. So if you guys learned anything from today, go ahead and tap on the screen while I give you my spiel. My name is Kim. I'm with Loco, and I teach upholstery workshops. I teach 4 days a week here at my local makerspace, Makerworks in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I teach Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. I teach 4 days consecutively because my students finish their projects faster if they can work 4 days in a row, but it's also to make it easy for you to come visit me if you live out of state. I have a lot of people who visit from out of state, from California, from Texas, from North Carolina, from New York, from Chicago, from all over the United States. My weekend classes, my regular weekend classes, are $75 a class. They're buy 3 get 1 free, so you can buy 4 of them for $225, and they're also bring a friend free, so you can bring a friend, split the cost, and both of you can come out here and take 4 classes for just a little over $100 for the whole weekend. I have a friend at the Newton of Ypsilanti, which is a Airbnb, not Airbnb, it's a bed and breakfast in a historic mansion in downtown Ypsilanti. She will give you a discount if you want to come stay out here for the weekend. I can hook you up with her. Do you have a tutorial of the actual cover? Not for this one, but there are videos on my website that show making box cushions. I teach these tutorials live on Tuesdays, and then I post the whole raw live replay on YouTube. I don't have time to edit it down because I work 7 days a week already, but you're welcome to go catch the live replay, and I'll walk you through the steps. Thank you so much, Kim. This was awesome. I'm so glad that you enjoyed. Even when I make mistakes, like I'm a human being, and I don't mind showing you guys how not to do things either. I teach my classes not just in person, but I also teach them virtually 2 days a week, and those are live via Zoom. So you work directly with me on your project, going step by step until you complete it. If you don't want to come to those weekend workshops, I do have a summer camp in August 15th through the 19th. It's 5 days, 4 nights, all of your meals, materials, and tools, everything is included. You come out here with your project. If you're flying in here, you're flying in from Detroit Metro Airport. First day, Thursday, we go on a field trip to my favorite happy place, which is Discount Fabric Outlet in Clawson. Directly across the street from there is Hey Bourbon Fabrics, where expert Stacy will go over all the different types of upholstery fabrics and what you need to look out for, and explain what the spec sheets and all of that mean on upholstery fabrics. Friday night, Friday all day, we're here doing upholstery from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At lunchtime, we have special guest speakers on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And actually, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we have Nicole Crowder with Nicole Crowder Upholstery. We have Crown Upholstery is going to be there. Whimsical Chair is going to be there. Sharon O'Connor with Vintique Upholstery is going to be there. It's going to be an incredible time. I'm going to make a post later today about the guest speakers. But Wes with Crown Upholstery, Rhonda with the Whimsical Chair, Nicole Crowder, and Sharon O'Connor from Vintique Upholstery. Those are all some of my favorite upholsterers. For me, they're absolute celebrities. Sharon O'Connor is on the show Money for Nothing on the BBC in the UK, and so she speaks with us from the UK. It's a lot of really cool speakers who are going to talk about their experience in upholstery. Yeah, so it's a lot of fun. It's a very intimate experience, I'll tell you that. There's 6 total beds, like beds, and then we have very comfortable fancy cots and air mattresses. We have up to 8 people who come to these. It's a very intimate experience. It feels like summer camp. We're all sharing rooms. We're all giggling into the middle of the night, and we're still all on a group chat, which is a lot of fun. So that's a really fun experience. It's 10 times more than coming out here for any regular weekend classes that I have, but it is all inclusive. Chef prepared meals. I have all the tools you need. The materials for your chair are included, except for the fabric. You'll have to get that yourself, but that's what we take you on the field trip for. But it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of good time. Okay, what are the speakers coming slowly that I can understand? I'll say it slowly one more time. So Wes from Crown Upholstery will be coming and speaking. Nicole Crowder of Nicole Crowder Upholstery will be coming. Rhonda, can't remember how to say her last name. I feel like it's Shanahan, but I can't remember if I'm saying it correctly, from the Whimsical Chair. And Sharon O'Connor from Vintique Upholstery will be guest speaking this week, or this summer camp. So we have a good time. You make a lot of friends. You get a lot of work done, and it's a really good time. So I am out of here because my phone is at like 5% and it's going to die. But I appreciate you guys joining me here today. And I am here every Tuesday live on TikTok from about 10 a.m. close to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're ending it today because I am sad that I messed up and my phone is dying and I didn't bring a charger, and I want to get some lunch. So it's not as regular as I might like it to be, but I am here every Tuesday. So if you want to learn a little bit of upholstery, I will be here. Summer camp is $2,150, but you can finance it through my website for 12 monthly payments, which makes it a little bit easier to digest. But my regular scheduled classes, which are 4 days a week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, you can do that whole weekend for $225. You can bring a friend free and split that cost too. I hope you guys have a good day. Thanks for being here with me today and for motivating me. I can't wait to order that foam so I don't have to cut it myself. We'll see ya. Bye.